And we're back for another Going Corn episode, Season 2, Episode 4 now. So, we got a lot of stuff going on today. We have an interview with the one and only Austin Warner. We got a preview coming up of the season for Week 1. We're getting really close.
Finally.
And I would like to introduce, as always, the pineapple to my pizza, my co-host, Caleb Youngman.
Finally. Gosh, I've been in a depression. Like you sit at home and you go on YouTube, Tim keeps updating these videos like a freaking tease, and you're sitting there just watching yourself play.
See, isn't that amazing marketing, though?
Last night, I remember I was laying in bed, and I got up, and I looked outside, and there was freaking snow on the ground. And then today, it was 60 degrees. Tell me how that works. I don't understand.
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
I don't know.
I don't understand it either, but
we got a good show though. We've got some things to talk about with griffleball that's getting close. A big part of the show we're trying to do different this year is vamp up our predictions. So we're gonna do some probables. We're gonna talk about the matchups.
Yeah, that's gonna be new. Hopefully, the lineups will kind of mellow out. But this is gonna be fun first week, not kind of knowing who's gonna be there or what's gonna. Dude, we were going through this and it's just like, oh, well, that team's not gonna have anyone. So,
and it's this first week's going to play a really, really big part just because of the new salary restrictions and stuff. It could really help some teams.
The Kermit player, it's going to be a long, crazy season, but I'm looking forward to it. So let's get started off. You know, wiffle season is coming soon for us, my friend.
Yes,
very soon. We
like Sunday soon.
Sunday, we're playing our first game in griffleball as the Leroy Legends. So we're going to have Caleb, Jared, myself, and Tim, the commissioner. He decided not to go to the Pacers game. Thank the Lord.
Smart move.
Because Greg was going to be giving up 30 runs in an inning. So,
and Sheriff would be getting Tommy Johns.
Yeah. So they did a little prediction podcast. See, you know, I'm sorry to those guys. I have not listened to it yet. It's just been crazy for me. I know a lot of the guys. Our chat has been crazy with it. So, Caleb, your thoughts on our prediction of, 3-17?
Well, Tyler said that would be the worst possible. Now, in order for that to happen, it would have to be you and Tim. Brett, me, Sheriff, and Eric would all have to be either having a torn ACL or a broken finger, kind of like Jeremy. No, I'm kidding.
Hot stove.
No. I hope he's ready for nationals. We're going to need him. But they said at best 11-9. No offense to Tyler. I heartily disagree. If me, and I won't be there every week. I'm planning on playing 6 to 8 games. But if Brett and Eric are consistently there, I think granted, griffleball hasn't seen him a ton, but I really do think, and I think Tyler we do have the talent to win a championship in griffleball.
The strength is our pitching, obviously,
right?
Because, I mean, even if Jared's there some of the time, too, I mean, it just depends on how the Orbital works out for you guys, but I know you just probably don't want to do it, but every week.
Right.
But I mean, if you have us 4 there, I think we'd be better than that. But
yeah,
I mean, 3, that low. There's no way we could just win a bottom of 3. Like if we were bad, we would have to be incredibly bad.
Oh, absolutely. I think 11-9 was a good prediction. I think that's where.
It fell off the earth there a little bit.
If me and Jared don't show a ton, it'll be tough for you guys to manufacture runs. There's no two ways about it. I mean, 11-9 I think is a safe bet. I think if Jared and I are there at least 8 games, I think we're looking at more of a 14-6 or 13-7 record, and then we will be there for the playoffs as well. And if we get into the playoffs, anything's possible. It doesn't matter who we play or what our seed is. With me and Brett as a 1 and 2, with Eric being our backup, I think that's good. So I mean, I understand where Tyler's coming from, especially knowing
he just hasn't seen us. And
right,
is this true? They didn't know what kind of style we played.
So that's what confused me more about the podcast than anything. He said we're medium pitch, but we're not, and I don't know if they've. I
mean,
I don't know where that came from.
Conversations with these people. I don't.
Yeah.
That's confusing, but
like if they. I mean, I
hey,
know
man,
our style's confusing.
Come on
but
out. Come out and experience the Leroy Wiffle experience.
Well, that's the thing. Our style's so unique, and it's tough to explain to people without playing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I would love to have, Tyler and Jeremy, and I know Tucker's coming out already.
Everyone.
Jackson's already signed up. So I want those guys to come out and experience it because it isn't medium pitch. It's far from medium pitch. So.
But that's the funny thing, though. It kind of is if you, like, had to mix them, but it's not.
But it's not.
Because
It isn't at all
fast
medium.
pitch.
It's fast
and slow pitch.
It's both.
It's not. You can't slump it into this category. So
no.
But I thought it was a nice little jumping board for us to hopefully do better than that. I mean, I think I'm gonna have a real fun time just playing in more, different league, seeing a different experience.
Right.
So
I mean, one thing I did like about Tyler is Tyler's comments on the podcast was that it is going to be an adjustment, and it was even an adjustment for me. I mean, I hit well. The pitching was the same, but I did hit well, but it was more difficult. The ball's thrown really, really hard from a shorter distance, so I could definitely see us being 11-9. But I think if we make a good adjustment and we do well, I think 12-8, 13-7, 14-6. I think that's a little bit more accurate, but we could be worse as well. So it's all going to depend. It's up in the air, but if we get into the playoffs, I think if our whole team's there, I think we're going to be a really tough out. So,
well, that's enough with the griffleball, and then Caleb's got Orbital coming up too here in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So getting the rings for him. So congrats!
Super
again to
excited.
The Magic. I'm excited to see another season of that. Just watching those guys come out, hopefully for us, and I mean, I'm looking forward. They're doing some great things. They've had a lot of movement, ownership switching.
Right.
They just have a lot more teams. But
Orbital, they had 2 new teams and then one switched out, and then they got the Silver Sluggers and Al did. But yeah, I'm really excited for our Magic season. I'm stepping into a captain role on that team this year. So I really love our culture. I really love where things are at. We're moving in a good direction. I'm not going to say more than that.
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
We've got some things ready to go.
Well, that's what I was just talking a little bit about. So we're very excited to see all of our friends in Indiana here getting ready to start up and be a part of that.
It's special.
Let's get to the nitty gritty. The meat of our show today is going to be about
chops.
The preview of Week 1, the big Week 1, May 9th, is right around the corner. Forecast is sunny and 75.
If that happened,
that would be a miracle. Can we get like bets on that? Like, can you call Bovada up? Like, but no, that's the thing. It'll be 75 and sunny, but then it'll just be like, 30 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't care about the temperature. I remember coming week 2 last year, and I throw the ball hard as all get out, and I threw this thing as hard as I could, and it died halfway to the plate. It came back to me. But if we can get that weather, that would be a blessing for Week 1.
So first match, I'll do the first match up here. So we got Truckers and Sultans. These are 6 o'clock games. We project the Truckers to have everyone there. We're going to say that Jack would be 1, Neil 2, Tim 3, and Grant 4.
Yep.
Versus the Sultans, which would be Robbie might not be there. So we're thinking maybe Lucas.
Neither would John. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Lucas, Micah, and then maybe John, maybe not.
Right.
Yeah, probably not, though.
Yep.
So probably you're looking at Lucas, Micah, and
free
at least
agent.
one free agent.
Yep.
So what do you think for this one, matchup-wise?
This is intriguing because I think it's going to depend on the Sultans' free agent. If the Sultans get a good free agent, I think it's a winnable game for them. But I really, really like Tim having 4 there right off the gate, and I think experience is going to help them in this matchup. I have Jack being the difference in this one from the plate, especially getting some slow pitch counts with Mike and a free agent. I have the Truckers winning this one 6-4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I do. I haven't done scores yet for these games, but I'd agree with you. Say the same thing. hitting is going to be too much, and that's why Tim drafted this team. I think he was planning on an early season thing and then waiting for free agents to possibly drop Neal because, he's a every other week kind of guy.
Right.
So, yeah. So that's what I'd say. I'd say Truckers win that one. We'll just throw out a number 8-5.
Okay. Moving into game 2, we've got the Badgers versus the Sluggers. Our probables for the Badgers are looking at Wes in the number 1 spot, Jared being at number 2, taking a little shade off his shoulders, giving Wes the number 1 nod, and Ryan Barnes as his 3rd, having to trade and drop Jeremy Ross. Jared's looking at his 1, 2, 3. The Sluggers, well, we went through their projection list.
And we said Eric's probably not going to be back.
Wiz may
Zach,
not be
I don't
there.
know. So,
and then you look at the
Luke
rest
Prince.
of their roster. Luke Prince would be a no-go, and
so
we have them projected not to have anybody there for opening day unless Eric drives down from Indiana.
Yeah, or if unless I'm wrong about Garrett where he goes to school.
Right.
But yeah. I would say that matchup, I mean, you can't say it's not the Badgers. I think it's
right
because it could potentially be all free agents.
It could be a team of 3
But,
free agents.
even if Eric does drive up just for that game and drives back that night, I mean.
Who's he going to have?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, just him. I mean, it makes it a little bit closer, but I think Wes and Jared especially be going off. I mean, you'll probably hit off for Ryan, but. Yeah, not too much.
Yeah, I got the Badgers winning this one 7-2. 7-2.
So this next game, we won't really talk about I'm not going to talk about scores, but because we're both going to say the same thing. So it is Liners versus Narwhals. So Caleb looks to have his whole team, well, not whole team, because Sam Gramala is not coming. But so we got Caleb, and then we would go James, and then Deckinga. Oh my goodness, sorry,
Justin.
Yeah, and then for me it'd probably be Jeremiah, and then Rob, and then me for the lineups. So
I'm gonna say I'm gonna win, and you're gonna say you're gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what I'm looking for is Rob to hopefully be a decent or a good pitcher. We saw today he's got some good pitches, so hopefully that can translate into the season.
Yep.
And I think if we pitch well to, the other two guys, Justin and James, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We I think everyone knows it's just control Caleb, try and keep him in the yard if you can. And then get the other people out. So
and
that's the game plan for the Narwhals.
Yeah, and for me, I'm just looking for have James and Justin have good at bats and to get on base, and then hopefully I drive in a few runs and just to keep the damage low when they're out on the mound. So whoever follows their game plan better in that game's gonna win. So Game 4, we'll move on. We got the Dusters versus the Clams, and the Dusters probables. We have Marty as their number 1, Alex 2nd, and then Eli 3rd. And much like the Sluggers, we don't really have much hope for the Clams roster opening day. Matt will be in Iowa. Ashby will probably be doing a keg stand at Purdue. And we'll have Mr. Gibson up at Calvin. So the only person they're relying on is Sitter. And from history, we know that Sitter's attendance is sketchy at best.
Okay.
So,
well, you know what? I'm really hoping Sitter shows up every week because you know what that means. That Jeremiah will show up every week. So.
Right. Exactly.
But,
so in this one, without Matt, without Austin, even if they get 2 free agents, I still think Marty and Alex will be enough to get a win in this matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think it's really close either. I mean, it's really all about the free agents, how they play, who they're gonna get. We saw James brought one of his buddies out today. He looked okay, but is it going to translate to Leroy?
Right.
With Marty? Probably not. I mean, Marty and Alex are going to be able to hit pretty well, so look for that. So, next or final matchup for the 6 o'clock game is going to be the Bombers and Hawaiians. This is a crazy thing, too, because we look through the Bombers lineup. Aaron Barnes, I don't think is coming.
Nope.
because I think he's got a job from what I heard.
Yep.
So unless Brett and Eric decide both ship down, I mean,
right.
And Jake's at Purdue,
right?
And
Colin Lautenbach's at Calvin.
So
right.
a lot of more college people.
Yep.
So we project nobody right now. And then the Hawaiians are the complete opposite spectrum. They're going to have everyone there.
Yep.
With where we project Sam, Austin, Shane, and Kyle in that order.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, same thing we kind of said before. Just I think the Hawaiians are easily going to win this matchup.
I agree.
I think they will hit plenty because it doesn't matter if Brett's there or not. Whatever these free agents are, they're going to throw at least a 5-pitch, and Kyle's probably going to hit 1 or 2 dingers that game.
Yep.
So that's what he does best, and that's how later in the interview maybe Austin will talk about that. So
right.
So yeah. So you want to start off our 7:00 games?
Yeah, so we'll transition to the 7:00 games. Our first matchup of the night that will actually be 3 full legal teams. It's going to be the Hawaiians and Badgers with Warner. These projections are now as they stand in the first game with the lineups properly flipped, so where they would be in the second game. So the second game, if the first lineup was true, it would have Warner as your 1, Shane as your 2, Kyle 3, Sam as your 4th, and for the Badgers, Ryan Barnes is your 1, Wes is your 2, Jared is your 3. This will be a really good game. I think this is going to be the best game probably of the day.
Probably
going back and forth. What'll be interesting to see. Warner will be throwing 2 innings there. If he can control Wes and Jared, I think the Hawaiians have a good chance to win this. But with Ryan throwing first, they could capitalize off that. But with Kyle throwing and Kyle and Shane being big question marks, especially in week 1 of the season, I think the Badgers hitting will take this one over.
Yeah, I think so too. Badgers probably are going to win big, I think. I think this one's going to start off close, but then kind of just turn, like you said, into a hit parade. Either way, because I mean, like I said, Ryan pitching twice there, probably going to give up some runs. I mean, that's just he's kind of hit or miss. So I think he could probably end up giving some runs to Kyle and Shane, but then the deficit of what Kyle's going to give up in pitching. So
right.
Next we got the Sliders. Now the Sliders had the bye in the first matchup, so but that's another one that's looking. What we got? Egg, Quinn, and Brad Kamstra.
I mean, the team is John Gibson, and without John, I mean, it doesn't look very pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong, Egg and Brad can hit decent. I mean, they're not awful hitters, but I mean,
Quinn has showed stretches last year where he can pitch. It's just.
From a pitching perspective, that's a tough lineup. So I think, and this is nothing against Egg, but I think with Sultans, if Lucas is there, I think Lucas by himself wins them that game from the plate. So
I agree.
I think it'll be closer than what people expect. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's more like looking like a 7-4 game or an 8-5. But I think the Sultans pull that one out if Lucas hits well. If Lucas doesn't hit well, anything's up for grabs. So
I would tend to agree with most of those points. So, who did we say else was going to be on the Sultans? Just
Micah.
Ooh, that might be. Actually, I'm going to pick the Sliders for this one.
Interesting.
I'm going to go for the upset pick there.
Okay.
I think with that and the third person, because if you think Lucas is going to start so what? He'll be 2 times in the first game.
Yep.
And then what? Another 2 times, right? Or is it?
Yeah, if Lucas is their number 1 and they have 3, then Lucas will get 4 innings.
Okay, yeah. But, I mean, still, what are you going to do for those other 3 innings in the second game?
Right.
I think Egg will hit enough to get out of that one. So
okay.
I'm going to take the upset pick.
Okay. Our third matchup is going to be the Dusters and Truckers. The probables for the Dusters, with the lineup turned over, Eli will be their number 1, throwing the first and the 4th. Marty is 2-5, and Al will be the 3rd. The Truckers will have Neil throwing first, Tim second, Grant and Jack 4th. This is an interesting matchup as well. Looking at it right off the top of my head, I think Eli throwing 2 innings for the Dusters is a problem in that game, just with the Truckers hitting lineup. I think the Truckers will give up their share of runs with Marty and Al hitting, but I think that if they can capitalize having 4 there and with 8 being their max runs, I think the Truckers can pull it out just from outslugging the Dusters.
Now, from what I've seen from Elijah in the past, I just disagree. I think Duster's going to win this one.
Okay.
I think a lot of people don't think of Elijah as that great of a pitcher. I think he was. So him and Rob came at the same time, so people always kind of looked at them and compared them. That's kind of just what happens, right? If you come with somebody,
right?
Like James came with his friend Alex, and
right. Yeah,
that was a comparison there. But I think that Marty and Al are gonna be able to hit off of Grant and Neil or Grant and Tim at least. We'll see. I mean, it's all a crazy first week because if Tim throws the way he has been able to in the past, at least throw some strikes. Like last year, he couldn't do it at all.
Right.
Like he had just as bad of an ERA as me. So.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm gonna take the Dusters there. You're taking the Truckers. So next up is the Bombers and Liners. So we know who Caleb thinks is gonna win there. So. And actually, I just have to agree because the same thing. It's like no one's there unless Brett ships down.
Right.
I mean, you're gonna just pray that you get some good free agents. You know.
Yeah. I would say
you get a Bouzier or somebody.
Yeah. I mean, with how it's set up right now, I mean, because I don't know who the Bombers are gonna get, I'm gonna pick my team. Obviously, if Brett and they get Jackson somehow, obviously that's going to look different. But, I mean, even if they do get Brett, I mean, they still have to get 2 free agents. And if the free agents are bad, it could be a long night. So, I'm going to pick my team there. And then the last matchup, Clams versus Narwhals.
Facebook game, baby.
Facebook game. So you're on the first week. Very cool.
With the Sluggers. Now, that's going to be an interesting thing, too. The Sluggers have to broadcast that game. So they have to have 2 roster players, or that's a $5 salary hit.
So we're going to recap like 2 big things that we see from this week's matchup after we're done with this game, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But Clams and Narwhals, with the lineups how it is now, Greg, it's going to be you. It has to be. Like
praying.
if it's
praying.
Now, if Sitter's there, I think he's going to pose some issues from the plate and on the mound, but if there's 2 free agents.
Same question we keep saying in this thing is free agents. So
exactly.
And that's how Leroy always is the first couple weeks, especially with the big college influence we have, is just who's going to be there, who's coming back from college, who's already done, who's not. So that's crazy that Trinity is done. You graduate the 5th of May.
So we don't have interim. That's why
you didn't have interim
we get
this
2
year?
weeks. We get that extra 2 weeks back because we don't have interim anymore.
Gotcha.
So that's why. So
those are the matchups.
So
what do you see? What's some big things glaring at you besides just the free agent pool for this week?
So what's going to be a result of that? So
yeah,
as Tim's made these new rules this year about free agents and not having your team there and not being able to fulfill league responsibilities is being hit to a salary cap. Now, I look at the Sluggers, Bombers, Clams, the Sluggers in particular, the point you just made about the game. The Sluggers, if they don't have anyone show up, that's a $2 hit right there, and if they say that. Right? On top of if they don't have 2 people for the video game, that's a $7 hit to their salary. And this is what people don't understand either, is it's not like that just money just evaporates. That gets redistributed. So I look at teams like the Truckers, the Badgers, who will have 4, the Liners, the Narwhals, who have 3, the Dusters, the Hawaiians. Us 6 teams, for these first 2 weeks, if these guys don't get these players there, we're going to hugely benefit. From them not being able to bring their players there. And I think that's going to have an impact because, especially with how little cap space there is to go around, $1 or $2 goes a long way when you get to the end of the season.
Well, especially just if you look at some of the people that have salary right now, because I'm sure Brett's lining up to try and dump somebody. I'm sure at some point Eric's who are you going to sign? I know there's a couple people that everyone wants to sign that thinks are going to come and they're going to be these amazing players. So everybody's going to be gunning for them.
Right.
And there's also a new free agent rule too, and we'll talk about that in a later week, I think, as we start to get more signings. But like, that's the huge thing this week. I think is you got to look at the salary hits. Like,
right.
If people can't come, and that's going to be a thing too, is if I'm hoping just that I'm able to have those 3 guys there and they're not like, Jeremiah and Sitter. It's always like,
right.
maybe not. But right. I have faith. He told me he'll be here so I trust him. He was my number 1 pick for a reason. So
yeah.
But that you, like you said, I'm gonna shut up now because I keep saying the same thing. So
I think one other thing that I see, and I've said this before, I think it's why our Liners team was so successful this past year is everyone always says the first 2 weeks are just you're there to play, you're there to get things figured out. But I think, again, and may just be my philosophy, I don't take those first 2 weeks for granted. It's valuable time, especially with not having a ton of talent there for newer players to be able to get a flow. And if you have your full team there and you're able to get a flow in those first 2 weeks, getting your players accustomed to the game again, getting their swing back, it's hugely beneficial come July and August when you're getting into playoff series because you're 2 weeks ahead of the competition. So those are the major things I see for the first week. If you don't have anything else.
No, I'm just going to say the same thing. So.
Yeah. Yep.
But, so now we're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to come back with the man himself, Warren Peace, Austin Warner, owner of the Flyin Hawaiians. All right, so we'll see you on the other side. And we're here with Austin Warner, new owner this year for the Flyin Hawaiians. Got him on the show, continuing our string of broadcasts or interviewing different members of the league this year. So, Caleb, you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, so Austin, special place for me last year. Picked him up in free agency, came through for the Liners, and really had a breakout season. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Caleb, Greg, always a pleasure to be on the show.
We're excited to have you, and we've got some loaded questions. We're going to hit you hard. We're going to see what you got to say. So
I'll start off with this first one because this one's quite ludicrous to me. But
bring them at me, Greg.
So I don't know how in the world this happened, but your preseason number 5 ranking for the Hawaiians nationally. What are your thoughts there?
I was on Twitter, and I thought at first it was a joke, to be honest. But the more and more I thought about it, I felt kind of disrespected. I think we're a top 3 team.
Come on.
In all seriousness, I was pretty shocked as everyone else in the league. But I am excited. I want to know what factors went into those ratings. And
Collusion Master Tim was a part of that.
Perhaps. But it was pretty cool to see that we are 5th in the nation without ever playing an official football game.
Right.
Right. But we'll take it.
Without any players have played in a national tournament either.
Well, I think what happened was the Hawaiians now from Tim's salary were the number 1 overall power ranking team.
Yeah. Well, from the overall rank, that's what it was.
Right.
There's a lot of those attendance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all right, next question.
So kind of tied into your team. Last year we talked extensively and something big that you were able to walk away from was just understanding Leroy and how to play in Leroy from a team dynamic perspective, right? So being part of the Liners, we had a lot of camaraderie. We enjoyed playing with each other. So the transition, even for me, when I was a part of the league as just a player to owner, there were some challenges. What were some of the things that you learned last year being on a successful team that you're going to try and transfer this year to the Hawaiians?
Yeah, that's a great question. Last year was my first, official year of playing. I think I played 2 games in the first season. I was just there for a week, and me moving back to the area, just getting a good taste of WIF, being on a very successful team last year and being with some veteran players like you and John and having Austin around towards the end of the season was super helpful with my growth as a wiffle ball player.
Right.
But I'm excited for this new year as an owner, and there's just a lot of things that you have to do differently. You have to figure out how to set lineups, look at your matchups.
Yep.
Figure out what is going to be best for your team. You might have to make roster changes, things like that, and that's something it's as a player. It was a lot different. I just showed up and played, and there's a lot more that goes into it. But definitely excited. I'm excited with the group that was drafted, and I know they're all in and they're ready to play and show up every week and get some wins.
So on that line, what are you most excited for this season?
Yeah, I'm just most excited to see everyone again, to be 100% honest. And I'm also excited to see the new individuals that are going to be joining our league to add to our organization, and just making some new friends and just seeing some old ones as well on a weekly basis. But in terms of actual wiffle ball, I'm just excited to take the ownership role and get the ball rolling with Sam, Kyle, and Shane.
So let's dive into your team a little bit more. So you talked about you weren't actually there at the draft, right? So you
Correct.
had
He was on a sailboat.
You were on
in the ocean.
we were joking around at the draft. We were like playing. You remember back in grade school on the computer when you played "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego"?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were playing Santiago. We were like, "Where in the world is Austin Warner?" No, but so you auto drafted a team of Sam Stahl, and
Shane.
then Shane,
Yeah,
and then who was the third that you had
Originally,
John Newcomb.
John Newcomb.
John Newcomb, that's right.
Yes.
And then you traded for Kyle Reinhart.
Correct. In my auto draft that I had Kyle one pick after John.
Okay.
So Kyle was next on my list.
Right.
Obviously, I was not there. Didn't have any internet connection because I was in the middle on a sailboat,
of the ocean.
castaway style.
He was getting scurvy.
Pretty much, and then I just kind of thought about it. I was like, John got a job in Chicago too, so I wasn't sure what his attendance would have been like.
Right.
Nothing against John, but I knew Kyle is a veteran of the league. He puts a lot of
He'll be there every week.
time. He's gonna be there every week, and he's one of my closest friends.
Yep.
So definitely excited to have Kyle. And I got pretty lucky in the draft too, because overall I had Sam on my number 4 choice, and Shane was a number 5.
Okay.
So I got my 4th and 5th guys I wanted on my team.
Right.
The first and second round.
Yeah. So specifically looking at their skill sets between Sam, Shane, and Kyle, one, what most excites you about those 3 players? Like, what are some things when you see that group that get you really excited and you feel like are strengths of your team? But also when you look at that roster, where do you feel like you're going to have to grow over the year to be successful?
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely excited about our pitching. I think Shane, it was a solid pitcher. He had a pretty low ERA, especially him being his first year. He's comes from a slow pitch league.
Right.
And him, getting a year under his belt and in the fast pitch. And Sam was coming around at the end of the year with his pitching. He had a really rough start, but he was, finding the strike zone. And I know that he is a very hard worker who's going to improve a lot this year.
Right.
I think I need to work on a lot of things, and Kyle has to work on his pitching as well. But the hitting is steady from those 3. I think Kyle has hit a lot of home runs. He's usually a home run leader in the league, and Shane gets a lot of hits. And if Sam could just be a little more patient and selective with his pitches, which I think he will, he'll have a standout year at the plate.
Do you think you're going to be able though to overcome kind of? If Kyle can't find it, I mean, me and him have kind of the same issue. Me and Kyle are the same kind of way, but he hits a lot more homers than me. But do you think you'll be able to overcome that? Do you think that your hitting will be good enough to maybe overcome the deficit of some of your other pitching? Mm-hmm. Or if, say, Shane has a bad day or something like that? Because I think we all think Sam's going to be an ace of the staff. I think I think a lot of people expect that from him.
I think there's no wave too big for the Hawaiians. They'll be able to surf any wave. So whatever wave comes our way, we're just gonna take
wave,
our
right?
board and hit the waves hard. But no, I think we do have a lot of things that we need to improve on. I don't think we have any superstars on our team. I don't think we have a standout ace, which is a red flag. There's no one on the mound that's pretty much guaranteed to give up, 0 runs or maybe 1 run max. We could all easily give up 4 or 5 runs in an inning, which is scary. But I think there's also times if we're all on and we're all playing well, finding the strike zone, being selective with our pitches and getting good hits, I think we'll be pretty competitive.
Right. So kind of tied into that, you got a little bit into your strategy of your recipe for success game to game. Now, I don't want you to give us the whole frickin' roster sheet or what you're looking for from a game plan perspective, but if you had to cook up the perfect game for the Hawaiians, are you winning a game 5-3? Are you looking to outslug another team? Like, what's your when your team's playing at its peak? What does that game look like?
I mean, you got 0 earned runs by me throwing at least 2 innings, and a few more runs by Sam might allow a few, Kyle allows a few. I'm close games, games that we're gonna grind out. I think 8-7. I think we're a speedier team. Shane and Sam are definitely quick on the base paths. I've been working on my speed all winter. So, and once Kyle gets big unit gets momentum going, we'll be ready to go on the base pads, getting those extra base hits. But yeah, that's what I think.
Are you concerned now with the drop off of the fielding behind you with your pitching this year? So last year you had a really good pitching year, but arguably you had the two best fielders in Leroy behind you. Do you think that's going to affect it, or do you think your pitching? I really don't think. Over?
Looking overall at the league currently, I don't think we're a bad fielding team. I think I think Sam and Shane. I think Shane's a terrific fielder from what I've seen. I know he wasn't there every single week, but Shane, whenever I played against him, he was good in the outfield. And Sam is very athletic as well, and he's scrappy, and he'll be able to get the ball to the pitcher quickly. So I'm not too concerned about our fielding. Obviously, it's not at the same what it was last year with having John and Caleb behind me every inning, which was huge. And yeah, they saved me from a lot of runs, a lot of base hits that probably would have been a base hit for an average team. But then again, I think my pitching is going to improve a lot since it's my sophomore year.
Right. One thing I kind of want to get into too, when we talk about your team specifically, you mentioned it briefly in passing, but one of the things that, and it was hilarious because we won the skills challenge last year, right? And,
easily.
And we were talking about easily. I just caught that.
It's gone now.
Yeah, right. No, it's not. It's coming back.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
As head of events, see ya.
That's fine. As vice commissioner, it's coming back. So one thing you mentioned is the speed on the base pass and the fielding as well. When I look at your team specifically, from like the little things, like making a play in the field when the right fielder's in the right place, taking an extra base, I feel like those things, and the mentality of your team, having a guy like Sam Stahl who's going to slide every time he goes to second, Shane being a scrappier player, I feel like that's an area where you guys can have a big impact, is in those close games when you need to get an extra base, you need to make an effort play. When I look at all the teams in the league, I mean, that's maybe your identity. I don't know if you could talk about that a little bit more, because I like that thought when you had mentioned it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, we are one of the older teams in the league by age, but I think we are a pretty athletic team. I feel like we have guys who've played other sports in high school and college and are definitely going to play hard. We have guys that are going to show up every week, but I also think they're not just going to show up. I think they're going to play hard each week, which is a strength for us.
Right.
That hopefully will overcome some of our weaknesses and question marks and red flags for our team. But I think with some of our athletes on our team, I think that will definitely come in handy in competitive nature, in close games.
Right. So when you get into August and you look back on your first year as an owner, now I'm not even talking record or playoff finish. What will be a good season for you? What do you want to look back on in August and be happy about knowing that happened?
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I know it sounds super cliche. I just want to look back and say it was a fun year. I had a blast last year. I know it didn't end the way we wanted to, Caleb, but looking back, I had a great time playing wiffle ball, and I always hated missing it. I missed a few weeks here and there, and
right.
I feel the same this upcoming year. So that's ultimately, I want to look back and say that was the best year I had, regardless of our record. I do want to be competitive. I want us to, definitely make the playoffs and make a run and be competitive in the playoffs. And, those are just some personal goals, I guess, for the team that I want to see. Of course, individually, I want to improve a lot, especially with my hitting, which I think will happen. I can only go up from here. So I definitely am excited, but at the end of the day, I just want to look back and say that was a great time, and also just growth for the league. I want to see it grow, and people put a lot of time and effort into this league, and I want to see us reap the rewards from all the hard work and time and energy put in.
So going along now with the goals for your team, what are your personal goals, like stat-wise or just like leadership-wise? What do you want your personal goals to be?
Mm-hmm. I want us to finish with a higher ranking than we start. Us being fifth is a personal goal. Owner of the year would be nice for NWLA. I'm still waiting for an invitation to the NWLA National Tournament Skills Challenge. Since I was the winner of this past year, so
you waited for it last year.
If anyone,
he was holding a wiffle ball at Nationals, sitting in the stands, like working on fielding the ball. For those of you that don't know, so he was ready.
Yeah. So if anyone on the board at NWLA is listening to this, just please consider me. I'm a competitor in the Skills Challenge, and I'll gladly, if you're able to pay for my transportation out to Morenci.
Out to Morenci, the private taxi.
I'll gladly be there. So just a little food for thought for you guys.
Oh my goodness!
Honestly, personal goals. I want to definitely improve my batting average. That was towards the lower end of the league. And definitely just be more accurate on the mound and throw strikes and avoid slow pitches. I think a lot of our guys in this league, they've been playing years and years, and they're going to get better and better at this slow pitch hitting. And there's going to be more and more. I mean, I would probably say close to 90% of the home runs are hit on slow pitches in our league. Yeah. So if I can throw strikes and just be more patient at the plate and be more selective and improve my hitting and take some pointers from some good hitters in the league, those are some personal, individual goals, definitely that I want to hit by the end of the year.
For sure.
Well, Austin, I think that wraps it up for the questions we had. Just want to say thank you for coming in. It's always good to have you on the show.
Anytime.
We really appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck to the Hawaiians this year.
Thank you. Crave the wave. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Yep. But they'll be below the normal, so that's okay.
So we're going to take one more quick break before we get to the question bag, and then we will be right back at you.
All right. See you on the other side. And we're back on the other side for a little question time. So, Caleb says,
we dug our hand into the question bag, and we didn't really come out with anything.
We got some tumbleweeds. I mean,
some crumbs.
Well, we had some nonsense questions. The Clams asked, who's the best Fortnite player out of Caleb, Tim, or Greg? We all know it's Greg because he's the only one that's played.
Oh, come on. That would be... No, I would destroy
He's the only one that's played, so... Ding, 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 ding.
And then Greg Sheriff wins. Is also on some nonsense.
Oh, thinking. Here we go.
So
stream of consciousness with
Sheriff wants to have 5 minutes on the podcast where he just does a stream of consciousness and says whatever comes to mind.
You know what I got to say to that? Absolutely not.
That would be the worst idea we've had.
And Carl, if you want to keep coming at me, bro, you know where I am.
This is what I don't get. Carl keeps saying that you cornhole him, but he cornholes you constantly.
I do nothing. I do nothing to him.
Carl, let's sit down and get a meal and settle this. Come on.
And then I said, why, better question, why won't Carl have Sheriff on? He goes, who's Sheriff? As he's in a discussion. I'm like, oh, come on, bro. You're better than
Carl,
that.
you're buying me a drink at Nationals because of this. Okay.
Oh, you know he's going to buy you anyway. You're so buddy-buddy with him.
Carl's my guy. Don't come at Carl.
I'm not, though. See, that's the thing, and he's coming at me.
I don't know. I think there's cornholing going both ways.
Cornholing. What do you want? Does he want to be on the show? Call me up, Carl.
We'll get Carl on the show.
You know what? You say you want to be on Going Corn, or you think he says, why is Greg still a host? Okay, well, because it's my damn podcast, and I own the mics and everything else. So there you go.
Well, there's facts. So what we're going to do instead of doing questions, we're going to give a few reminders. So, reminder, opening day is May 9. Still have time to register if you're a free agent and you want to get on. This Sunday,
lots of free agents.
Yeah, lots of them. We're going to need them. April 22, 5 o'clock, Bridges Scoreboard. There's going to be drink and food specials. Come watch us play. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You might be able to get the ranch hookup.
Oh my goodness, I've got a ranch hookup for you. Okay, she knows her ranch. Okay, and then golf outing and just a reminder, golf outing and All-Star game are going to be on the same day. We're working on the flyer. It's going to be done very soon. We're going to get it out to you. You got anything else?
Then our tournament. Don't keep thinking about that. Keep thinking who you want to sign up with.
Yes.
Get those pairs in.
Yes.
If you're listening to this from griffleball or Orbital, see if you can get a team together. If you're not doing anything else that day.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's gonna do it, right? You have anything else?
Nope. I got one more thing. In honor of Carl, I'm gonna say goodbye and see ya.
All right. We'll see you next time on Going Core.
See ya.